pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Can't be a real, might get you canceled. The whole system need to dismantle. Coppers treated like the utmost wanted. Tryna rule the block but don't know what goes on it. News got a story with a new take on me. Carrying out the window with the screw face on me. But I know that God love me when my burn 95 degrees and I can't get sunburn. Wonder when your government don't make me legal. Burn the whole city if I can't be equal. Get off my please, Brad, I earned that. 400 years, how you still ain't learned that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm tryna do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir, I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they say. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out.
It's a war on the real, baby, look outside. It's a war on the real, baby, look out. Do I want it to be a war? No, I don't want it to be a war. I'm a peaceful man. I would like to just cook out in the backyard, go to the beach, laugh and tell jokes with my friends, but this is the world that we're living in. And it seems as though there are people in the world that hold a little power and can make decisions over us in this man-made engineered system that don't want us to live this way. They see nature and want to destroy it. They see us with our spiritual growth and our spiritual senses and ascension, and they don't want us to have that. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Lancescurv, and I want to welcome on the end Gifty Sanae Giant Game. Wow, it's like transitioning and coming to the other side and seeing your loved ones. Today we're going to speak about, speak about Ice Cube, but it starts there. It's not just ending there, but we're going to speak about Ice Cube. And the title of this particular episode is Why Has Ice Cube Come Under Fire and Blackballed for Speaking and Sharing His Political Views? Everybody else shares their political views. How come it's a problem when Ice Cube did it? Well, we're going to figure that out. We're going to see why. And yes, this is an open mic for those who are listening and who are here. And I'll keep on saying that during the broadcast, that when you do come in, even if your opinions, perspectives, or viewpoints are radically different from mine, I'm just a person who's here to maintain the platform. I make sure there's toilet paper in the bathroom, and I make sure the floors are swept, and I put out the floor is wet sign so nobody slips and falls. I'm just the maintainer of this platform. So you can come in when it's time and speak your mind, as long as it's respectful and not derogatory, but, you know, I'll let a few words fly, but no personal attacks, okay? But we're going to let it all hang out tonight, and we're going to do that on a regular. So if you're listening to this show, know that all shows are basically going to be that way, unless it's a recorded monologue or recorded episode that really can't have any interaction. And I'll be doing a whole lot more of those because there's a lot of things happening out here. What's his name? Rich Homie Quan passed away at 34. And they say it might be possibly a drug overdose. Now we're going to get on with the topic now. I just wanted to touch on that. And there was a young lady from Africa who is a runner, and she was killed by her husband. I don't have the exact, I have it if I open it up here, but I don't want to hit the wrong button. I'm just touching on a few things that are out here. And the world is moving so fast And it seems as though we're like that vehicle with the spinning tires. There's so much information being thrown at us. And as we're trying to process this thing, at the same time, we feel time moving by faster. And many people begin to have a feeling of hopelessness. But I'm not going to say don't feel that way because I understand what it is. We got to back away sometime. We got to back away from this phone. We got to back away from all this information being thrown at us because it's there to brainwash us. And the propaganda is there to steer us in a certain way to make certain decisions that we probably wouldn't make if we were more informed and more at peace and in touch with ourselves, and especially in touch with the God force inside of us. So at this particular point, to bring everybody up to what's going on, there's a Tucker Carlson interview that I would like to play, and it's going to bring us up to par with what's going on with Ice Cube, and this was done recently within the last few days. So allow me to go and open this up. Let me open this up so we can see this thing. And if any point there's a problem with the sound, just let me know and I will correct it. But I'm going to play this interview and we're going to play it now. Let's roll with this. It's going to go a few minutes. It's very enjoyable and very informative and insightful. And more, I'm beginning to like Tucker Carlson because at least when he interviews somebody, he doesn't cut them off. He doesn't soundbite them, and he gives them a fair shake to speak. And he does his research on his guests. But here we go. Let me know how the sound goes.
So why would you be doing this of all interviews? I mean, you could do an interview with anyone. You're doing an interview with me. Obviously, you're going to take abuse for doing that. Like, why would you do that?
Because I think it's silly not to talk to people. I think whether we agree or not,
right?
That has nothing to do with it. You know, it's like, this is what it's all about. Let's talk about it. Let's debate. And you know, I've been shut out.
That sounds like right-wing extremism and whataboutism.
But I've been shut out. You know, some platforms will not have me on.
Why?
Don't like that I'm, you know, an independent thinker. I'm not part of the herd. I'm not part of the go along to get along gang, so to speak. So, you know, I'm an outsider. And so, you know, I'm not part of the club. So I have to go places for one that I'm welcome, and where I can voice my opinion without somebody, you know, saying I'm a bad person and that they never want to have me on their platform again.
What platforms have banned you?
I've been, you know, I tried to go on The View. They didn't have me on The View.
Why?
Well, a few of the guests just really didn't like where I was coming from. So, or a few of the hosts, I mean. So that's what I was told by the producers. I don't know if the producers was just copping out and using some of the hosts to not have me come on and explain myself, but
you'd be a good booking for them.
I've been on there before.
Yeah.
You know, it's just when I've became an independent thinker, when I've, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess.
But if you can't think for yourself, then you're not really free, are you?
No, you're not. You're not. But I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah, you know.
On Oprah?
On Oprah, yeah, I've been excluded. Yeah, man.
I would think you'd be the person Oprah would want to promote. I mean, you grew up in South Central, you were successful at a young age, you have dignity, you say what you think. Like, I thought that was the goal.
Me too. You know, I don't know what it is, but, you know, several of my, you know, I had a movie called Barbershop, you know.
Yeah, I remember.
That I wasn't invited to participate with the cast. I produced a show called Black White, and it was a very controversial show. And once again, they had the whole cast on, but I wasn't invited. And so I don't know.
On Oprah's show.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's.
But Oprah's obviously a saintly, godlike figure who's revered by all decent people. Why would she exclude you?
I really don't know. You know, that's something that I would love to find out. But I can't tell you, you know, if there's a single thing that I've done or said to her.
Have you noticed that it is more controversial to criticize Oprah than to burn the American flag?
Really?
Seems that way. I've never heard anybody criticize Oprah. Do you think it's political or do you think it's deeper than that? I mean, you're not like a right winger.
No.
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 You don't even seem that political.
No, I'm not really. I'm pretty much, you know, just want to do right by the people, you know. So if that comes through political means, that comes through the private sector, wherever it comes, you know, I'm down to work with whoever's down to do something right for the people.
So I remember reading you say something along the lines of, I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not a Trump voter. You actually attacked Trump at one point, but you were willing to meet with Trump. Do you think that crossed a line?
I think some people didn't like that, but I think it's idiotic. You know, enemies meet.
Right.
You know, they talk. I'm pretty sure there's some communication between Russia and the Ukraine right now. Somebody's on the phone talking to somebody, trying to with a solution. So we just got to talk. That's the only way we're going to work this out. You know, I know when the talking stops, the fighting starts. You know, a lot of people, they, you know, think I'm a, you know, Republican. I'm a right winger. Just because I was willing to speak to the Trump administration, I mean, and I was willing to speak with the Biden administration as well, you know.
Have you?
One guy in the administration, but it didn't go anywhere. You know, it was basically a, you know, take my temperature kind of call. We'll get to it, like, but you know, they never planned to. Matter of fact, the guy left the administration. So after talking to him for a year or so, he was gone, and then, you know, we were left really with no one to continue the conversations.
What do you think of Biden?
I don't think he's given the people who put him in exactly what they thought they were going to get from him.
But his most loyal voters, according to the polls anyway, are Black voters, particularly Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And those numbers don't seem to change. So no matter what happens or doesn't happen. So do you expect they ever will change?
You know, whether they become independents and not vote for anybody who's not bringing it, you know, it's like people want your vote. They have to do something to earn it. If they don't earn it, why are you going down there and pulling that lever?
Because the other side hates you. That's the pitch they make. We may suck, but the other side hates you.
You're supposed to dance with the person you brought.
Yeah.
You know? And the person that brought you to the dance, you guys are supposed to dance together. And if that doesn't happen, you got to go find another dancing partner before the night is up and the music stops.
What do you think of Kamala Harris?
I mean, obviously she's a great politician to be able to become the vice president of the country. I don't know how effective she is at her job.
What's your view of the police at this point?
It's the same, you know. It really is, you know. It's like looking at, like, what's your view of the military? Like, they're the military. They're always going to be the military. If I asked you this in 1946, you'd be like, they're the military.
Yeah.
So it's a fraternity. It's an organization that does things a certain way. And I think their philosophy sometimes is detrimental to the people they're serving, because I think cops have a win, make it home philosophy. Win whatever battles you have in the street, make it home at night. And that's actually the most important thing. And everything else people's rights, doing things the right way, you know, being totally fair and square all the time and not, you know, being a little aggressive, you know. All that comes second to win the encounter, make it home at night. And you can't really fault somebody for thinking that way as a police officer, but that's the philosophy. So everything else comes second to that. So guy might not care if he violated your rights. He's going to win this encounter. He's going to make it home tonight. It matters. And sometimes I think that's what we see is an organization hell-bent on winning and not a fraternity or organization hell-bent on upholding the law and doing everything right or by the book, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just the nature of that fraternity.
Maybe of organizations.
Yeah. You know, it's they come with a philosophy and, you know, you can try to buck it if you want to, but more than likely they're going to get you out the way and stay in formation.
Do you think that it's harder to be a man in America now than it was when you were a kid?
Yes. Saying what you feel, being yourself, is what they call toxic. You know, we should be called toxic for our instincts and for, you know, I was born this way. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, why can't we be ourselves? We were born this way too.
So there are some groups, like if I say I'm trans, then people say, that's great, you were born that way, we affirm you. But if you say I'm just a dude with male instincts, you're not affirmed, you're attacked.
Yeah, I mean, everybody doesn't really have to affirm you. You know, if I wake up and say, you know, I feel like a pigeon. And I want everybody to treat me like a pigeon. Some people may say, whatever, Q, we treat you like a pigeon. But some people may choose to be like, no. That's your world.
Yeah.
I'm not part of it. And I have to be ready for that. It's a big world out here. Everybody doesn't have to adhere to me.
That's called narcissism, right?
Yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, seems like you're trying to bend the universe to your will. And it don't work like that.
We've been talking almost all day now. You haven't mentioned race a single time. We've mentioned economics, rich and poor, a number of times. Do you think that we overplay the role of racial conflict in American life?
Yes. I think race, it takes up too much space. There's people that we all have in our lives who are the same race that can't stand. And there's people in our lives from other races that we get along with way better. So it's not about race. It's not about color and gender and this and that. It's about who do you connect with? You know, who do you vibrate with? You know what I mean? Who's on the same wavelength? Who wants to be the same kind of person? Who wants to do the right thing when you want to do the right thing? That's who you connect with. So I think a lot of people make a lot of money off of the racists fighting against each other and bickering. And they the ones who push it in our face all the time that we're separate. And
does feel like there's more of that, doesn't there?
Yeah, it seems like it's like you're stuck in a bad movie and you can't get out. Like you can't find the exit and it continues to play on the screen and you're just running around looking for the exit. And this bad movie continues to just haunt you day by day by day by day. You know, that's what we're caught in. A never-ending, winless battle of, you know, of race and color, and we're worried about, you know, where you from, and, you know, hip hop. What's great about hip hop, like, it was a saying in hip hop, early hip hop. I think Rakim coined this phrase. You know, it ain't where you from, it's where you at. You know, and it's so true. It's not about where you come from. It's about where you at right now.
I'm not imagining that this stuff is being pushed on us.
No.
Much more than in, say, 1980s.
Yes, I think so. Because in 1986, you had movies and television, and it was all scripted, and we knew this is a scripted show. But I think now you have so many so-called reality shows that basically push the same thing, but in a reality-like setting. So, you know, you'll watch a movie on race, okay? And you flip the channel now, you're watching a somewhat like documentary reality show that's highlighting and magnifying race and status and where you belong in this country and where you don't. And, you know, we're highlighting the bad guys here. We're highlighting the good guys, you know. It's always really showing controversy and pitting each other against each other. And with the reality shows, you know, controversy sells. So they're not showing people getting along. What they want to get to is the fight, the conflict, you know, the argument, the throwing of the bottles, the, you know, the turmoil, the differences. And, you know.
Does that bear any resemblance to your actual life as someone who lives in this country? Like, do you have racial conflict in your life day to day?
Probably, you know, most of them are unseen. You know, I'm not going to say I ain't racist. People know who I am. Police know who I am. Everybody knows who I am. So I probably get a pass on a lot of things that friends, family members, people I associate with, people I love go through all the time because they're not Ice Cube. But, you know, I've had an insurance company drop me because they didn't like my point of view. You know, things like that.
Are you mad about it? Are you mad at people for their skin color ever in the course of a day?
I'm not mad at people because of their skin color. You know, I'm mad at people because of what they do and the things they choose not to do.
Right.
There's a big problem in this country with the financial banking system and Black people and our access to capital. You know, I know that it breaks down. We have, you know, 13 to 15% of the country trying to live off of half a percentage of wealth, you know, 0.05% of wealth. So that's an issue. That's a problem. You know, we have to have access to capital so we can do cool things for South Central. You know, if we drove past one of those lots and a guy that lived there wanted to put a store up, he just couldn't get along because of his zip code. Now, guys from outside the area, they can come in and they can get along and put that store up. And that has to change.
How do people live in this state who aren't making a lot of money?
I mean, things are so expensive. Houses that used to cost, like my father, I think he bought his house 47 grand, maybe. And now it's worth 650.
The house you grew up in?
The house I grew up in. It's worth $650,000.
And that's in South Central.
South Central. Yeah.
Huh. So the middle class has shrunk in this state.
Without a doubt, or left. You know, they definitely shrunk, and we have a lot of people leaving the state because they just can't afford it.
If you were running the state, wouldn't that be a big concern for you?
Yeah, I think it's a major problem because you not only have people leaving, you have industries leaving. You know, Tesla, they just put up a plant in Texas, so you know, they left California, and many big companies have left California.
I've noticed something weird. I've never been a big hip hop fan, but I've met a bunch of hip hop performers.
Yeah,
and they're all pretty open-minded, way more open-minded than, say, your average college professor. I wouldn't have expected that. Why do you think that is?
You know, college professors, they all want their jobs. And if their staff or administration is saying, hey, we think this way at this college, sometimes they understand what that is and they stick to those guidelines. Rappers, you know, we're free spirits for the most part. Some of us who are not locked down to these crazy contracts, but we know doing things the way they were done in the past hasn't really gotten us as far along as a people as we have wanted. So we tend to promote. We tend to be disruptors. We tend to not wait for an invitation to the party. We tend to either come in through the window, you know what I mean, or kick the front door down. But we're coming to the party. So that's how we've actually been able to gain success, because everybody wants you to be in your little hole. Everybody wants you to stay in your lane and all that stupid stuff. And as soon as I hear that, I'm out of my lane immediately.
But you should stay in your lane, don't you think?
No. If I would have stayed in my lane, I wouldn't be here. I would still be in South Central Los Angeles, you know, not following my dreams.
So you're not surprised that rappers tend to be more open-minded at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Because they want to go for it. They want new experiences. They want to carve their own path. And, you know, they're not going to conform. They're not going to conform because that gets you nowhere.
You often hear people say that.
Okay, let's make these adjustments here. Give me one moment, and we're gonna make it happen. Come on into this question.
On the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out.
Yes, what do you think about that? I like the rhythm of the conversation, but just as Earth Angel mentioned, the questions. Yes, yes, yes. He thought before he spoke. He said a lot, Gifty, without having to say. He was very shrewd, and Tucker Carlson knew that. I didn't get it that Tucker Carlson was trying to trap him or catch him, and I'm glad that a black man of his stature from our root would not play into any emotional triggers, because I find myself in the same boat. You learn how to play the game. There are times in my past that I would fly off, even if I was in the presence of a man with the same demeanor as Tucker Carlson. Yes, you got to be cautious and shrewd, because if you're not, they will take all of the wisdom that you shared in this interview and ignore it and focus on when you blew your cool. And it shouldn't have to be a thing where, oh, you blew your cool, but that's just the way it is. They're looking for that, and they would have run with that. So kudos to Brother Ice Cube. They probably wanted him to be the younger hothead. And I loved how he answered when he said, when he was asked about the police, and he said, I still feel the same, or something to that effect. It hasn't changed. And that's when you show your brilliance in a media that's set up to come against you, because I know that when this interview aired, it was probably silence across mainstream media as far as the movers and the shakers, that they can take a piece of this and make something of it. And do understand, the way the media works is that, say you had a major platform like a CNN or a Headline News, et cetera, they're not going to come directly as hard as they really want to. And this is how they use social media. They will have bloggers or YouTubers or any people on X, formerly Twitter, that they can call on that have nothing to do with them on the surface, and let them go in and let them echo what the major platforms want to say, so that it protects them legally. This is how social media works. It's not just one person, yourself, who gets a Twitter account or just YouTube. There are levels to this thing, and there's so many things going on behind the surface and below the surface. And so they can wash their hands of it, the major platforms, but they can also go ahead and say, this particular blogger or YouTuber quoted this, I'm going to quote them. What do you think about that? But it's really that major platform. Understand this is how it works. So Ice Cube, knowing how it works, he's been in the industry for a long time. I'm quite sure he's talked to many people, and he's not a dumb man. He can figure it out. You see, while they can censor us on social media, many of the so-called powers that be in the more powerful media platforms in the so-called mainstream media, they have shown their behind. Not because of what they say, it's because of what they won't allow to be said. And that being said, not to sound redundant, and let me put this comment up by Earth Angel. She says, Tucker racist ass got fired, but still out here being racist. He's made some comments before he got fired I could not believe he did. So he has to play it cool now and survive in the space that he's in. So I'm not ever really bigging him up. But because he is who he is with the status that he's had in the so-called mainstream media, maybe his way of getting back at the mainstream media is to feature somebody like Ice Cube, because he dare not open his mouth. Maybe if he found someone of a buffoonish nature, he could bait them into saying something headline worthy, not for us, but for them to say, oh, look, this is how they think, this is how they are. And Ice Cube, in this interview, just walked the tightrope on a rainy day with slippery, flat, slippery shoes, and made it safely to the other side. And I know many people are disappointed. Many of those who are of the cool DNA Many of those who don't like him because he wanted to speak to both sides to see how they felt for what they can do. And today, it's almost as though you can't ask for anything. You're born here, you work here, you pay your taxes here, you play by the rules, and you know pretty much after a couple of decades of being in this system that the American dream is really a nightmare and a crock of crap, only for the people who put themselves on top and suck our blood. But the ultimate slap is for us to be told by that same media and see them try to influence us to vote for a Kamala Harris. And yes, I'm saying it. And I want people to come in, out of the people who are in the chat room and the people who are listening. The link right here, I'm gonna put it in again. I'm not gonna attack you, but do not insult and do not come in a derogatory way. But I'm not gonna attack you. If you agree with me or if you don't agree with me, I'm not gonna cut you off. I'm gonna let you speak your mind as long as it's not 5 hours, okay? Let's be within reason. So it's open, and I'm gonna continue to talk. I have a few things that I wanna read off, but if someone comes in, I'll let it happen now, because that's where we're at right now. You know, it's not a time for statistics and polls and this and that. That doesn't show anything. Show me what's in your heart. Show me how you're thinking. And as far as polls are concerned, it's said pretty much that Miss Harris is really on the losing end. You know, and see, this is what Earth Angel said. I think Ice Cube is very much intelligent enough because Tucker got nothing but truth. And what could Tucker say? What could he say? He knew that he's sitting in front of a very intelligent black man who has lived a life of a fuller range than Tucker can ever imagine. And when you see a black man come through so much, and people say, well, what do you mean come through so much? Let me tell you something. The treatment that we get in this country called America is by default. You heard what he said. As Ice Cube, he may not get it as much because he's famous. But there are family members that would get it as far as the racist treatment because they don't know who he is, who they are. See? So that means there's been things that have happened. And before he got famous, he had to know the deal. He had to know the deal, as many of us know the deal. So what are we going to do? Change our background to be politically correct to a people who already know how we're treated? Well, why would we do that? That's like being born a man and we grow up to be men and we want to castrate ourselves because of whatever. And I love how he answered the question about him being born a man. And when he mentioned the whole toxic thing, but you can be something else and claim whatever. Like he said, if you want to be known as a pigeon, the world bows down to you. But you can't be who you are when you are a strongly melanated black man who understands how the Rubik's Cube of America works. And it's not a hard Rubik's Cube to figure out. It's not hard at all. But when you make it to the top in their industries, in their hierarchies, and you use what you got to get more, and you have the sense now to step out of it, I'm quite sure he's doing very well with himself for the rest of his life. I'm quite sure that he has no desire to play himself, and I don't think he ever did, but he's not coming back begging, please, please, I'll take it back, please. What is it to take back? He's a black man who is concerned for his community, and he is one that's putting the money where the mouth is. And he has the basketball league coming up. He's thinking far in advance. And so when you are thinking that way for your people and not allowing them to be prostituted to play these roles of buffoonery, having our sisters out here like playthings showing their bodies. Well, why won't the people that Kanye West had a problem with expose their women and show their women as playthings? No, but they want the utmost respect for their wives and their daughters, but we must be used to make money for someone else and prostitute ourselves out. Now, as you know, and maybe you don't know, 50 Cent, celebrity, rapper, now he does the movies, has a problem with Dame Dash. Now, it was from a comment that Dame Dash made many years ago about $1 million not being much money. And it was made shortly after 50 Cent got his first deal in which he received $1 million. And so 50 Cent doesn't forget things that are said to him. He may not address it right away, but he's a little sensitive and he will come out and get you. So now that Dame Dash is claiming to be broke because he has to pay $250,000 a month in child support and children's fees, which he has no problem paying, and he's claiming that he doesn't have much money, which he owes the IRS $10 million. So in the interview on his own network, he was saying how he was broke, but every other sentence he said he was broke. But one thing he did say that I love that he said 50 Cent, you have the background and you have the backing now for a while of corporate America, but you're knocking me and saying I'm broke. Now, to add another point in, many people said that when Dame Dash made that comment, that it wasn't aimed at 50 Cent. So there's a little cloud there that it may clear up soon, and maybe this is a misunderstanding. But 50 Cent is taking it as a slight from many, many years ago when he was younger and got his first $1 million deal. So Dame Dash brilliantly brought up the fact that, listen, don't do the dirty work of corporate America. They want you to come after me and do what they want to have done to me because I'm independent. But because I'm independent and I might be broke on my level, because he has money for most people that are in this channel listening to this show, they would love to have what he has. But he's always been one to reinvest what he has in excess into his own creation so he can remain independent. And as you well know, anybody who has any creative gifts or talents, they do not like it when you are independent. And this is something that Dame Dash has always pushed. Even if in the past he was a bit arrogant to most people, the bottom line is, look at the world that he had to come in that's dominated by people that don't look like him. You see? So what he was saying is that don't do the dirty work of corporate America to come tear me down, and then I'm going to go tear you down. And then we're going to go wallowing around in the dirt, and hopefully somebody pulls out a gun and kills each other, and they can make money off of that. He said, listen, I have my own independent fashion line, network, children's books, new albums to come out, different stuff with movies. So I don't have to ask anybody for permission to do that. So for all of your corporate backing, you probably have to ask permission. You might get the backing in the AOK, but you can't do nothing without them AOKing it and green lighting it. He said, I don't have to do that. So why don't we have a battle with our products so we both come up? You put out a movie, I put out a movie. You put out children's books or a fashion line, and I do the same thing. And let's see what's better. And that way we both can come up. But corporate America doesn't want to see that. We have to be at odds with each other. So now coming back to ICE, and you'll hear more about that because it's going to get big. That's the latest thing that's going to turn from a sneeze into a storm. All right. So now going back to Ice Cube, he's thinking far ahead into the future. He's speaking this way now, but he's thinking about helping out people where he came from and people who look like him. He doesn't say that. He never said if he had some type of business that it would be all black. No. He's not going to refuse somebody employment if they might be white and poor or need the job. He doesn't have that kind of spirit. I don't see that in him. You see, most of the time when they try to smear us in the media, it's nowhere near that. Now, you see, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back in time to the time when Mike Tyson was coming up and he was under pressure. To me, in my opinion, I'm going to tell you now, many people don't understand this, but Cus D'Amato, his trainer and father figure, who they revere as being the one who changed his life, yes, he did. He put time into him, but he already had the boxing program going on. Cus D'Amato was blackballed from boxing from as recent as the 50s and early 60s. The 50s and early 60s. And he was blackballed. So he couldn't get any piece of the action. So he was looking for a champion. He was looking for a champion to get back at the boxing establishment, and he found that in Mike Tyson. And in his rush to get Mike Tyson, who was a dutiful student, and they did have a genuine relationship, but there was another end to the relationship that the world doesn't know. That Cus D'Amato was in a hurry to get Mike Tyson to the championship, to get back at those who blackballed him. So he did not sit him down and teach him the complete way of being a man. He told him things, but it pertained to boxing. But he didn't sit him down and hold him accountable. Now, I'm not trying to paint Mike Tyson bad. I love the brother, and I would like to interview him one day. But the bottom line, when they were getting in trouble and they had the managers, Jim Jacobs and Bill Caton, maybe you remember those names. I've been following boxing long before Tyson came onto the scene. Whenever he would get into a small altercation or a misunderstanding, because he was a man-child. When he was 13, 14, 15 years old, he was a powerhouse of a young man. So because he may not have had the discipline, because you know his past, he might have seen a pretty girl with a beautiful derriere and put his hand on her. Not rough, but touched her. And now he might have been banned from some of the malls up there. They would have treated him like a monster, but Cus D'Amato didn't hold him to task. Listen, I'm going to have to take this away from you until you can behave yourself. And they would pay off the mall, pay off to not prosecute, pay off to not bring charges. Nothing heavy that he did. So when he got to the championship and got the fame, he didn't understand how to really and completely handle himself. He was not the man that he is today. And the reason why he's the man that he is today is because of all the stuff that he went through and came through. Cus D'Amato brought him up as a fighter. But as a man, accountable, that's why things spiral out of control. Thank the Creator that he came back. And you remember how he was demonized after he bit Holyfield's ear. You remember how he was demonized when he was put in prison, and people to this day still say that he's guilty. I don't think so. I never thought so. And we know exactly what it was in that particular case. So now we see a Mike Tyson in the prison who has evolved and come through so much, and now everybody loves him. They understand him now when they see the old interviews when he may have been rough with his language or rude or said things, because the man was in pain. The man was hurting. And so what if he had $400 million they say he blew? When you're in pain, I don't care what is going on around you. You can't feel the goodness of the materialistic things that you have, because it's not the material that's going to soothe your spirit. You see what I mean? And let me see what Sister Gifty said here. But unfortunately, his biggest haters now are black people, because he didn't endorse Kamala. Slave-minded black people are the ones smearing Ice Cube right now. You are so right. And here it is from Earth Angel. Whatever happened to our people being taught and prepared for the trickery? Right, in the trap set for us. Many of us fall into the trap and don't understand. And I'm not here to try to convince anybody anything to where to vote. But it's amazing to me how divisive many of us have become at the mere mention of this woman's name. And if you don't say that you're voting for this woman, I don't get mad at you, because you may say that you vote for her. But don't get mad at me if I point out why she shouldn't be president. Isn't that the way it should be? Do you want her finger on the red button to start off a nuclear war? A person, she'd probably push the button and giggle. because she already has her bunker to go down into. So how is she going to care about us? A shape-shifting race, trans race. A couple years ago, she's Indian. Now she's supposed to be black. What's she going to be next week? Chinese? With all this technology going on, why is it that we're the wrong people? We're wrong for asking a question like Ice Cube did. That's what the title is. Why has Ice Cube come under fire for sharing his political views? And for those who think that this is something new, let me just read off a few notes for the sake of the show, so that when somebody listens to this years from now, months, days, or weeks, they'll have a fuller understanding about the whole thing. Ice Cube, excuse me, Ice Cube, the iconic rapper, actor, and filmmaker, is no stranger to controversy. However, in recent years, his political stance has sparked a storm that has divided his fans, the media, and the entertainment industry. Known for his outspoken nature, Ice Cube has consistently used his platform to highlight issues affecting Black Americans. Yet, his willingness to engage with both sides of the political aisle, especially during the Trump era, has led to accusations of betrayal and professional blackballing. The timeline of Ice Cube's political evolution, the backlash he's faced for his stances, and the disturbing trend of industry figures being ostracized for expressing dissenting opinions. Ice Cube's political journey took a pivotal turn roughly a decade ago when he, like many in the hip-hop community, publicly denounced Donald Trump. At that time, Trump was transitioning from real estate mogul and reality TV star to a polarizing political figure. His rhetoric, particularly on issues of race, was often criticized by prominent Black artists, including Ice Cube, who saw Trump as a symbol of systemic racism and inequality in America. Ice Cube's disdain for Trump wasn't unique, but it set the stage for the controversy that would follow in later years. Fast forward to 2020, as the US was gripped by one of the most divisive elections in modern history. Ice Cube unveiled his contract with Black America. This document outlined a comprehensive plan to address the long-standing issues faced by Black Americans, including police reform, economic justice, and educational equality. But what made the CWBA contract with Black America controversial wasn't its content, but Cube's approach. Rather than aligning strictly with the Democratic Party, where most Black voters traditionally cast their ballots, Ice Cube reached out to both parties, including Donald Trump's campaign, seeking to hold them accountable for their promises to Black voters. This move ignited a firestorm. Many in the Black community and liberal circles accused Cube of betraying his roots by working with the enemy. Despite Cube clarifying that his intention was to hold both parties accountable and that he never endorsed Trump, the damage was done. The narrative of Ice Cube's siding with Trump took hold in the media. Following the 2020 election, Ice Cube's visibility in Hollywood took a noticeable hit. He wasn't invited to appear on prominent talk shows where he once had regular appearances. Rumors swirled that he had been blackballed by the entertainment industry, a consequence of daring to speak to both Republicans and Democrats in the highly polarized political climate. One of the most notable examples of this blackballing was the abrupt discontinuation of the popular Friday film series, a franchise that Cube helped build and star in. Despite the success of previous installments, studio executives reportedly backed away from continuing the series, citing Ice Cube's political affiliations as a reason for distancing themselves from the project. Cube's inquiries into why Black Americans continually find themselves in the same socioeconomic position after every election, regardless of which party is in power, were viewed as legitimate by some but treasonous by others. The unspoken rule in Hollywood appeared to be that the only pro-democratic perspectives were allowed, and Cube had crossed the line. In 2023, as Donald Trump announced his intention to run for president once again, Ice Cube addressed the growing support for Trump among certain sections of the Black community. He didn't endorse Trump, but acknowledged that many Black Americans felt disillusioned with the political party of the Democratic Party, particularly with its failure to deliver on promises of reform. The backlash continued, despite his insistence that he was simply asking questions and seeking answers for the benefit of Black America. Cube's inquiries were met with hostility from certain media outlets and influencers who saw him as a sellout. Here's a short timeline of Ice Cube's political controversy. 2013 to 2014, Ice Cube publicly denounces Donald Trump, aligning with the general disdain many Black Americans have for the then reality star. 2016, Trump wins the presidency, deepening Cube's criticism of his policies and rhetoric, especially around race and inequality. 2020, July, Ice Cube releases the contract with Black America aimed at addressing systemic issues faced by Black Americans. August of 2020, Cube reaches out to both Trump and Biden's campaign, seeking their commitment to the CWBA. October of 2020, news breaks that Ice Cube met with Trump's team to discuss the CYBA contract with Black America. Outrage ensues, with many accusing Cube of supporting Trump. November of 2020, despite clarifying that he never endorsed Trump, Ice Cube is shunned by the media, with talk shows invitations drying up. 2021, the Friday movie series is put on indefinite hold, with studio executives reportedly distancing themselves from Cube due to his political views. 2022, Cube's public appearances in Hollywood decrease, with several projects he was attached to being quietly shelved. February of 2023, Cube acknowledges that some Black Americans are increasingly disillusioned with the Democratic Party and considering Trump. July of 2023, rumors swirl that Cube has been blackballed by Hollywood as his film projects and media appearances continue to be mysteriously canceled. August of 2023, Cube remains defiant, insisting that asking questions about the future of Black America shouldn't be controversial. January of 2024, as Trump announces another run for president, Cube reiterates his commitment to holding both parties accountable. February of 2024, Cube's comments spark further outrage, with more allegations of him selling out to Republicans. June of 2024, Cube is still largely absent from Hollywood projects, with his political views seemingly affecting his professional prospects. The present, Ice Cube continues to speak out, unafraid of the backlash, but the impact on his career remains evident. Now, there are many others who have spoken out for various reasons in history and have been blackballed. And I'm going to read off, just out of interest, there's only 10 examples, which we can probably pull down 1,000 examples. but we're going to speak about some of them just briefly. Let me see here. Earth Angel says, because people make excuses to do things they know are wrong, and if you can convince others, when man, woman loses all morals, values, they have reduced themselves to an animal. Exactly. You're so right, Earth Angel. First on the list, Colin Kaepernick, blackballed from the NFL for protesting police brutality during the national anthem. 2, Dave Chappelle faced backlash and exclusion from Hollywood for rejecting industry norms and calling out racism and exploitation. The industry norms being that he was supposed to wear a dress and he refused. Number 3, Muhammad Ali, stripped of his boxing title and banned from the sport for refusing to fight in the Vietnam War. Number 4, Kanye West, ostracized after publicly endorsing Trump and making controversial statements on race and politics. 5, Monique, blackballed by Hollywood after speaking out against industry bias and inequality in pay. 6, Marlon Brando, blacklisted after refusing his Oscar and protesting Hollywood's treatment of Native Americans. 7, Sinead O'Connor faced severe backlash after tearing up a photo of the Pope on live television in protest of abuse within the Catholic Church. Number 8, Howard Cosell, isolated from sports broadcasting after defending athletes' political protests. Number 9, Vanessa Williams, blackballed from the entertainment industry after a nude photo scandal despite her significant talent. Number 10, Hattie McDaniel, first Black woman to win an Oscar, but faced severe racial bias and typecasting after speaking out on racial issues in Hollywood. And that's the end of that list, and we can go on more. I'm going to open up the lines, but I want to say this one thing about Vanessa Williams. I'm going to repeat what it was. Blackballed from the entertainment industry after a nude photo scandal, despite her significant talent. But look at this. We got Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton, and a whole numerous bit of, can I call them media whores, whose acts are celebrated. You see, now I'm not saying that one shouldn't give somebody if you give them a smack on the wrist, Vanessa Williams should have got it, but it was a different time then, and she's a Black woman. But isn't it something how there are numerous sex tapes of Paris Hilton and what's the other one? I keep forgetting her name because she's not of importance to me. Kim Kardashian with Black men, athletes, celebrities, performing acts on them. You could just pull it up anywhere. It's all over the place. And she gets to go into the White House and walk with dignity? Maybe she was applying for a job to be the next Monica Lewinsky or the future Kamala Harris. How about that? But listen, I'm going to conclude with this last paragraph, and then we're going to open up the lines. And I just want to say, please, we're not going to attack you for whatever your views are. But even if you just say something for a minute, we want to hear from everybody. We got a lot of keyboard warriors out there. I don't mind that. Come on in and talk. I just want to say this. Ice Cube's political journey highlights the complexities of navigating race, politics, and fame in America. His desire to hold both political parties accountable for the plight of Black Americans is logical and just. But the backlash he's faced reveals deeper issues within the entertainment industry and media. As he continues to challenge the status quo, Cube remains a symbol of resistance, fighting for his community in a world that would prefer him to stay silent, as they would with so many of us, but we can't stay silent. And this is why Kamala Harris recently made a mention, now don't quote me on the exact words, but she basically said that there must be more control on social media. And why? Because although people can be convinced by the propaganda put out there, it's also a double-edged sword for those who have a modicum of credibility that some people would see through the crap that's put out there. And it's not working. And I can't wait to watch this debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. You see, either way, whoever wins, it's going to be some kind of consequences. It's going to be something. Because just like a volcano that's about to burst, you can feel the tension. You can feel the heat building. And I'm watching certain factions of America. And a lot of those who went into the Capitol building, a lot of them are quiet online. A lot of them on the message boards are not saying much, but they're propped up, I feel, in position. All I say, if Kamala Harris wins or Donald Trump wins, whatever happens, just stay inside, please. Don't find yourself somewhere out in the restaurant far away from home with a long commute, because it just may be where bullets are flying. Look, there's so many unstable people out here who are on social media who already have it in their hearts to do something to people, whether it's to use a person as a target, if you know what I mean. I can't really say it. Or to put a bit of special sauce in somebody's hamburger that doesn't look like them. You understand? Hawking up and spitting. So you just don't know. So this is, you're right, Ra. Yes, our people are in a deep ass sleep. See? Okay, here we go. Johnny Lewis says, dude, you got no listeners or subscribers. You don't, what is it? You don't matter, just like Cube. Well, I mean, maybe I don't matter according to you, but you're here, you're listening, you responded. So I mattered enough to you for you to respond. Now I'm going to put in the link again, and I welcome everybody. And really, that's something, isn't it? Because in a medium where numbers can be artificially inflated and people can be shadow banned and their numbers kept down, how elementary it is to understand that many don't understand how the game is being played, especially when you don't speak in a way that they find favorable. You see, it's never popular for some of us to see a strong black man out here who's living his life according to his own rules, and he's bucking the system because he don't need the system, because the system didn't make him or put the strength in him that kept him surviving through the trials and tribulations. So it's almost like seeing a ghost. So when you see a person like Ice Cube, they say to themselves, how did this guy make it? How is it that he rose above the obstacles? Because people know the obstacles that we're against. You see? So it haunts them. And now the policies of America are coming back to haunt people out here. And they don't like it, because now the problems that traditionally were ours to face, now it's all of America. And now some who believed in the American dream because they had the privilege of skin are realizing that even that doesn't matter. Even they have been betrayed. So they walk around like a deflated balloon, wondering how the hell that a Lancescurv can leave America and move to West Africa living well and walk away from that burning house that America is. So I put the link in. I'm going to put it in again. We'll continue to talk. And I want to hear from you. And even if you think I don't matter, I'd like to hear from you too. Life is wonderful. I don't know about anybody else. Life is good. I had a good sleep last night. I ate good today. I was out in nature all day. And this is not a matter of bragging. This is, sometimes you got to do the Muhammad Ali thing. Sometimes you got to tell the enemy, I'm pretty. I'm strong. You can't whip me. I'm the greatest. Well, whatever you think about us, there are those of us who understand what the deal is, and we are making it because we didn't fall for the okie doke. You understand? Let me look at some of these. Yeah. Actor Paul Robeson was blacklisted. Yeah, I forgot to put him on. I mean, we can go on forever and ever. We can go on forever and ever. And think of the faceless people. I'm not saying they're faceless, but they may not be famous and visible, that lost their job, that couldn't get the loan for the home, even though they were more qualified than a Caucasian who was barely scraping by because of redlining. That's the way it is, you know? Wow, yeah, look at that. Palestinians are moved to the Congo to occupy. You know why, right? Because over in the Congo, that's the only place you can get that particular substance that we use in the cell phones all over the world. So the Congo is targeted. So they would love to have and push out the people who are there. This demon, this devil, he's very shrewd. And at the root of it, no matter what it is, it's always an anti-melanin thing. As long as we can serve them for their wicked purposes and be fooled by it, to think these people have a modicum of humanity in them with their quest for power. And many of us who are of the same ilk, we carry ourselves like we're above those others who look like us, only because they have a direct line with those, so they can come into our communities and into our worlds and fool us. You see? Exactly. Earth Angel, it's the leaders that are here. There's some who are here who the Europeans have they own the pockets, they own the money, they own them. And some of these nations are so powerful over here, so powerful, but they've sold out because they want their families to go to the European schools. They want their family to have homes, and lavish homes in America, in the UK, because they've been tricked into thinking that it's superior there when the whole world needs the motherland. The whole world needs Africa. And like I said it before, and I'm probably going to say it on every single show, if you take Africa off of the map, the world will die. And again, remember that you can take America, you can take Iceland, you can take the UK, you can take China, and you can fit it in Africa. But they make Africa look to be so much smaller and minimize it. But this place is huge. I looked at America on a globe and said, man, you know, Africa's big, but it's not as big as I thought. But then I saw a piece of a documentary that actually showed how they shrunk it on the map, minimizing it. But this is a huge continent, and there's so many of us here. And the populations are young. They're not dying off. They don't have fertility issues, if you know what I mean. The sun doesn't burn them. This is why they're trying to make alternatives to the sun. They want to block the sun. And what I found out recently is they have a way now of replicating sunlight so that people can purchase sunlight. But it's not real. And there are elements to light that regulate our bodies, and we're all thrown off because of this blue light that we're still looking at on our cell phones and don't realize why we can't fall asleep. Because the blue light of a television set, a monitor, a tablet, or a cell phone emulates that part of the light that wakes us up. So this is why an hour or two before you go to bed, if you want to engage your mind, the best thing is to do is pick up a book and read the book. What happened to having relationships with books? You see, books can't be scrubbed of vital information. And let me tell you something too. I was always speaking about Memorandum 46 and how I was going to drop the link on the show. And I went searching for it because I took Memorandum 46 and put it on my site. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull it up now. But there was a reason why I couldn't pull it up. Because after interviewing the irritated genie, and my site was attacked by what I believe is the same people that Kanye West had a problem with, and the platform that I was using that was independent of YouTube, because you know, irritated genie would have surely brought me a strike and take down my whole channel, because you know them people got a problem with me. Vimeo contacted me that night, 2-3 hours after the show. It wasn't even business hours. They got the call to shut me down, and they basically said, I have to pull that email up too, that you need to do business or take your business elsewhere. Ain't that something? Let me just type this in, because for people who think that we're crazy, we need to push this document, and we don't even have enough online because it's been scrubbed off. Now, let me see. Here it is. Let me see. Maybe it hasn't been indexed yet by the Google bots, because I just put it up. And how did I just put it up? Well, I went into my website and realized that it was reduced from being published to just being a draft, which means it wasn't showing to Google or the search engines. Who did that? I didn't do that. They had to do that when they went on my website to try to take it down. So they don't want certain information out there. So when you get a hold of books, it's a very precious thing. That's one of the best things that you can do for your children and your offspring and your family. Now, there was a gentleman that I never got a chance to interview, but we talked for about 3 hours. And he, I believe, was in his late 70s at the time. But his mind was sharp and he was sharp. And he was living in Georgia at the time that I was living in Orlando, Florida. And he told me, and if I don't remember anything he told me this. Now, this guy had, I believe, 60 to 70,000 books, but not just any old book, because you can go into a bookstore and buy it out and have numbers. No, these books that he had, so many thousands of copies, were original first editions of these books. So what's the big news? He got the books when they were old. This is what he told me. And this is long before the internet. Those people, I'm going to say it this way, I didn't say anything bad. Those people who run the entertainment industry, when a book would come out, they would go and buy up all of the first editions and somehow finagle and get involved with that book and put out the second edition. But they would remove certain information that was in it because they didn't want the people to have it. Now, come on, y'all. That's straight evil. This was long before that time when Adolf was giving them people problems, if you know what I mean. Now, it's not just one person in the whole world that has that name, right? I didn't say the last name, right? So this technology has been going on forever, you see? And we're here and we're talking. Let me see what Tracy J says. They are proving to us over and over again that we are God's chosen people. They fight us too hard on a consistent basis. Yes, and they set traps. They sure do. And I'm quite surprised that this didn't come. Let me get back to the site and just search it because I'm going to put the one that's on my site up. I can't believe that they went inside of my actual website at that particular time and did what they did. But oh well. This is war. Like the song says, it's a war on the real. Now, let me see where I can find the search. Hold tight, y'all. In the meantime, somebody hit that link to come on in the chat. Okay. I can't even find the search thing. I'm just going to put this thing up again. Give me a second. Like I said, a book can't be scrubbed of information. When they favor somebody or they want to rewrite history, they put up what they want to put up. Okay. Still it's not available. I have to go into the site all the way. But you know what? Let me just go do that. Let me just go do that. I know where to go. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it in the chat room and I want everybody to share it with somebody so it can be indexed that much faster. Okay. Now, let's hold tight. Let's, because I published it again. Whenever you put something up new, it takes a little while, granted. Okay, good. There it is. There it is. Now let me look at the post. Okay, it's a post now. Okay, let's open this up. And I don't know how, it had to be at least 2 years because when we did that Irritated Genie interview, that was 2 years ago. So it was 2 years that this particular link was not there online. Let me just put it in with the name so people can not just see it as a link or just one plain link and not know what it is. I just put memorandum 46 And okay, here we go. Good. This is what I want you to share. If you can put it on your Facebook page, your Twitter, your YouTube community, your Instagram, send it to somebody. This is not for me. The Final Call has it. I have it. And I don't see any other website that has this. They broke into my website to make this a draft. They didn't take it away, but they made it a draft and left it that way so it wouldn't be seen online. Let's get this out there, because when you read that and you understand what it's all about, and this is real, you know, when you read, and it's not a long read. If you scroll down a little bit and see how they want to keep us apart from the U.S. Black movement and the Black African struggle, they don't want us to get together. So hence, you have people like that lip gloss dude with the FBA who always talks bad about Black people from other countries, right? And so, yes, you will have culture clashes, but you can't get mad at a whole country of people that look like you, and there are people in the country here in America that don't look like you, that's giving you hell every single day with this systemic racism. So you have these agents, you have these people who have their palms greased by the system. And when you read this, look at this in the modern day terms and see how they use social media against us. And this was written back, the date was 78, March 17th, 1978. We talk about the Willie Lynch letter. This is just as important. We know the Willie Lynch tricks that they do, but we need to know that this is not a thing of the past. 1978 was just the other day. Now, if you were born 20 years ago, you might not say that, but pretty much live life a little bit. You'll see. And this is the U.S. government. And this was exposed. You see that? To use propaganda to keep us apart. They do not want Black, melanated African people who are born here in the motherland to connect with those in the U.S. because it's game over. Because those of us in the U.S. know the tricks of the devil. You see? So that's it. I have it there. And I want to know if anybody, I'm going to give the final call. Brother Robert Concrete, I don't know if you're still on the show. You're on Facebook listening. If you are there, come in the chat room. I'll definitely want to have you come on in with your vast experience, but maybe that was a while ago and you checked out. So let me see. Yeah, but we ever unite? That's up to us. That's up to us, Gifty. And it seems like we just have a self-destruct mechanism in our community. It's something in our mind. They worked on our mind for hundreds of years. And for those of us who are born new, we come into a place where the damage is already done. So we take the shape of a crooked container. You see what I mean? So, you know, it's exactly Rock Kim War. Exactly. It's just amazing to me. We are under that spell. Well, this is what I'm going to do. I was willing to hang around a little bit if anybody wanted to talk, but we'll continue extending that. Until then, I'm going to wrap it down, but I'm always here. We're going to have another topic tomorrow, and we're going to go in. And I think on Saturdays in the evening sometime, the evening for me is earlier, so I'll make it later for me. I'll announce it tomorrow. I'm probably going to do like a conference call. If I do, see, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll always have a show on this platform, right? And on the weekends, I'll probably do a live show also, but I won't make it mandatory. I will be running up and down doing things, but I have my camera with me to be able to get good footage and stuff like that, and recorded stuff I'll do. So there'll be content. But if I don't do it, whether I do it or not, I want to make it where at least once a week we have an open call, a conference call, a line that holds up to 100 people. That would be a mess though, so we'd have to kind of be polite in our talking and let people talk. But we're going to go back to those days again, and the conference line can go on for 5 hours. And when the 5 hours is over, all you got to do is just hang on up and call back again and we can continue. Now, those conference calls will be public. They'll be made public, but it's more of a freestyle where we can just come on in without it being a formal show. And it's something that's just going to be there. So even if you forget, when I put the time out, that's where the time is always going to be. So if you want to come on in and listen, come on in and just mute your phone so we don't get any background noise. If you want to join the conversation, there's no topic. Whatever's there, it's like merging in on the highway. Respect what's already there. But after we kind of flow that way, say, hey, you know, you're talking about this now. I'd like to bring this up when everybody's done. We have to be polite with each other that way. You know, oh, what's my take on why Black people are mad at Ice Cube, Gifty? Because they are so stuck in their ways, blindly voting for the Democratic Party, which to have two choices is asinine anyway, right? But they feel as though there's a betrayal because we're betraying massa. We're betraying what our families have always voted for in ignorance. If you have no choice and that's all you're going to vote for, then hell, why are you voting? Why can't you think? See, Black people in America, many of them, I can't tell you the proportion, but I would take a dare and say that it's the majority. The majority are stuck on this routine of always being loyal to something that's not loyal to them. Like it was said before, we love our chains. And the illustration that was shared with me is that you have a bunch of Black people that have shackles around their wrists and chains connected to those shackles. But at the end of the chain, it's not anchored to anything. It's not tied around anything. The chains are loose and Black people don't realize it. But we love the chains so much, we don't realize that we can be free. We still think we're chained up and we've made life do with that. We made it work and we're happy in that. We don't see ourselves going anywhere else further. We have to vote for this politician and we have to go for the lies that they give us. But look, like I always say, there's no president or politician that's ever come over to my house to mow my lawn. There's no politician that came to my house to stick a thermometer down my throat and say, hey, you have a high fever. Here's some medicine to make you well. There's no politician that came to feed me when my money was low and I didn't only but have but enough to get through the week. There was a time in my life when things were so tight. I got those 3 for $1 at the time, little ghetto boxes of macaroni and cheese and some cheap fruit drink or drink, some grape, whatever, full of chemicals. And I lived on that for a week because that's all I could afford. I didn't see any politician come to save me. I didn't even see any pastor come to save me or help me. But we have to be forever loyal. See, it's deep in our psyche that even with the church, we have to be long-suffering. We have to be the ones that are suffering. We have to be the ones. It's almost a betrayal when you're not a pastor in the church and you're doing well financially. The devil's supposed to be on you and have you in lack. We all want to get better. We all want to get a little more and live a little better. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as it's not our God. But we're loyal to the poverty. We're loyal to the chains. We're loyal to everything on the bottom. But yet we have no problem sacrificing for other people and smiling when we push them up and smiling and happy for them. Oh, I wish I could live in that neighborhood. That's a nice white neighborhood. And when we do get a chance to get in there, triggering white flight, what do? We call people who look like us. I'm the only Black person in this white neighborhood. But you can't open your mouth to say anything good about your own people or build up where you are. I get backlash for moving out of America and coming here to West Africa. Oh, you got dirt roads over there and lions and tigers and people living up in trees. Really? When my house is done, you'd love to take a tour in here. You might want to snuff me. You see what I mean? Like, our thinking is so limited. And here's what Tracy J said. I truly believe that most blacks are just so happy to have a say in something, not realizing they don't have a say in anything. Excellently said, Sister Tracy. Excellently said. They don't have a say in anything. It's just, it's, I don't know. It's almost like a little kid coming around and the father's doing some work in the yard and tells the son, okay, you're in charge of this little area here and take this and dig up some dirt. And he's pushing his chest out now because he has a position. That's the way we carry on. That's the way we do. And we're not even part of the system. Really and truly, we ain't running nothing. And if we did, why aren't we using the power that we have if we had it in that system? Because it won't work. That's like having a bunch of guns, walking around confident that if anybody tried to jump you in the middle of the night when you walk down the street in the wee hours, that you'd handle yourself, only to come home to realize that your gun had no bullets. So it was a false sense of security. Yes, Diane, I see the flames. Yes, but we all have to remain vigilant. And whether it's 5 of us or 20 of us, or I know there's more than us. And there's always a demon trying to say we're insignificant when they hear a powerful conversation and see a powerful chat room. They don't like that too much. They're so used to us falling into place. You know, just the same way they're used to running things because of us falling into place. I've seen it on jobs. You're in a job and you have a position, and other people may not have that position, but you're all gathered around at lunch, talking peacefully, in harmony. And here comes that white woman, doesn't even know who's who, but in her mind, she's in charge. And she gets shocked when people don't bow down to her inherent superiority. I had that on a job one time, and I was to go out to see a site where they were building some structures for the Olympics many years ago. And it was where they had the tennis and stuff. It was in New York City in Flushing Park. I forgot. It was the early 80s. And I was an apprentice in an architectural firm. And they did a lot of big things, but I didn't have any position there. I was there working, trying to figure out if I liked it. I had a hookup. And I was going to go to City College after that and take up architecture, but I didn't really like it. I can do it, but I didn't really connect with it all the way. So they sent this white woman out and myself to look at the around Flushing Meadow Park. They're going to build some small structures, temporary too, but they're going to be up for a few weeks while they had the games going on. And for some reason, I was polite, not because of the color of her skin, but I'm going to treat everybody right at first and see what you're all about. But because I didn't go over and above and tap dance for her, over and above and geek for her, I could tell she didn't like it. She was very uncomfortable. But I think I was very pleasant. I was very professional and I was very pleasant. And I don't know what she wanted. But then again, maybe I might know what she wanted, but she wasn't getting it from me. Yes, Tracy J, whenever you're ready. Part 2, company dynamics. You snap your finger, sister. I don't care if I'm far away from home. I'm going to stop what I'm doing and come home and we're going to do that show. So you let me know when you're ready. And thank you for the kind words, Sister Gifty. I want to squeeze out as much as I can of my life force to just do what it is that I'm supposed to do, whatever that is. I mean, it's just so weird, you know, years go by and you find yourself in a certain position doing something and you say to yourself, well, I hope people don't think that I'm doing this just to be this or just to be that. You know, it's just sincere. It's just part of my lineage, my parents and the way they raised me, and I just can't shut up. I have to speak the truth. I have to live the truth. I'm more shrewd now in my battle plans. Oftentimes I don't reveal myself all the way to people around me I don't know. It's just like Chuck D said, every brother ain't a brother. You see? Ain't there something? Earth Angel says, Black people in America didn't just go quietly. My ancestors have been fighting since those savages landed here. Yes, there are those who look like us betraying us to this very day. I couldn't have said it any better, Sister Earth Angel. I couldn't have said it any better. It's a fight, it's a battle, but it's one that leaves me very satisfied when I've earned my rest for the day. You know, right now we use this technology, but in real life we have to battle with these spirits, and this is more like a huddle during a football game as we plan on next moves for the time that we go back out on the field. So I derive a lot of moral support and strength from all of you who are here because I know that you're out there. I don't have to know your social security number. I don't have to know your name. I don't have to know your address, but I'm connected to you all here in spirit, and you keep me upright. You keep me strong. I'm out here in the mountains of West Africa, and I'm just as strong and just as concerned as can be. And there are many who have said, oh, you ran, you're a sellout. Well, then why am I still doing what I do? And what's the majority of what I talk about? You see what I mean? Where are these people now? Where are those who are afraid to even put a few keyboard strokes and leave a message? Because it's not for everybody to be on YouTube and face on social media all the time. We need those who are unseen, who know how to play the game, who can come back and report. We get into the huddle and we can keep each other hip to what's going on. And there's so much going on. And I thank you, Gifty Sine. Thank you so much. And it couldn't be a great episode if you all weren't here. I look forward to that. I get a thrill. I'm sitting there and I hit the button to go live and I start seeing names popping in. I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. I feel, I don't mean to say gang member, but I'm just saying, you know, when, you know, say for example, let's just use another example. Now, I'm a person, I'm a kid in school and somebody's about to beat me up. And all my older brothers and sisters come, or younger, stronger, whatever it may be, and they come there to back me up, and the bullies turn away. And when I said gang member, I meant not in the modern day sense, but just when people used to fight with their fists, and one gang member was trapped off, and you know he thought he was done with, and all his buddies show up, and the other side runs away. You see what I mean? But yes, Earth Angel, thank you so much. I'm gonna wrap this down. And there's always those devils that come around because they know their time is up and they try to break the family feel and the positivity that we have despite all that we've gone through. That's testimony that we are the strongest, we are the mightiest, because if we weren't, they wouldn't come so hard against us. And we have the faceless people that's probably living in their mama's basement and rubbing two nickels together and have to use those blue pills to function, and they want to come and they want to deal with us in all kind of ways, but they can't break that feeling. We're too strong, and we've come through so much. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this episode up. We all have our wonderful realities to get back to. We always will have challenges, but I already know by the way you talk, my family, and the way that you think, you're ahead of the game. And you know that at the end of the day, we will be the winner. And so let me play a song, and then we'll wrap it up, and then we'll be back tomorrow. But remember, at some point later on in the day, on Saturday evening, I try to make it as late as possible because I'm 4 hours ahead of you, being here in West Africa. On the 4 hours ahead of the East Coast. Now, for the West Coast, that's even further. That's a 7-hour difference. So I'm going to try to make it as late as possible. And I'll kind of doze off while we're talking, and we're just talking a non-directional way. And I have that information. If I have to make other banners, when you get to the conference line, you just have to click it. You don't have to call in. So anybody who's listening anywhere on the planet, you can join in on the conversation as long as you're there at the same time. Just count back to your time zone. All right? So that's going to grow, and I'm going to grow that, make that a regular thing and advertise that. There's a lot of people that know me on TikTok over here in the motherland. Some of them want to come on. We're going to have an international conference every Saturday night and let the demons out there just be mad that they just can't break the unity. And for the demons out there, if you want to see the work that I've been doing since 2001, 23 years ago, go to Lancescurv.com. Feel free to leave a scathing comment and increase my viewership. I appreciate it so much. Anyway, much love to you all. Take care. Thank you so much. I'm a little fatigued, but yet I'm rejuvenated. And I'm looking forward to a new day tomorrow. And I earned my rest today, and I'm going to sleep deep because I did my work, and I'm looking forward to more. Much love. Keep your head up and reach out to me anytime. My contact information is down below. Much love to you all. Peace. Lancescurv out.
I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm trying to do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they said. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Can't be a real, might get you canceled. The whole system need to dismantle. Copper treated like the utmost wanted. Trying to rule the block but don't know what goes on it. News got a story with a new take on me. Carrying out the window with the screw face on me. But I know that God love me when my burn 95 degrees and I can't get sunburn. Wonder when your government don't make me legal. Burn the whole city if I can't be equal. Get off my please, Brad, I earned that. 400 years, how you still ain't learned that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm trying to do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they said. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Shout out to the trying to gentrify the genre. Tell them free my middle finger to your honor. In the days coming down the seconds on the timer. Goofy still trying to purchase that designer. About to buy, learn to grow my own food. Cause I don't like the look they give me in the Whole Foods. And when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. But it ain't on me now, I'm limping cause my heavy. But ain't sweet, think we thin. My whole attitude on MC Ren. It's my neighborhood now, Bob, I bought that. 400 years, how you still ain't caught that? I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I'm trying to do more for the soul, way less for the bread. Yes sir. I take pack to the lung, kill the stress to the head. I see the things that they do way less than they said. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out. Cause it's a war on the real, baby, look outside. A war on the real, baby, look out.
Hello, this is Martha. Actually, today I got to meet my friend Lance. Yes, I got to meet my friend Lance. This is my first time meeting him in person, and he's a very kind man, seriously. I do talk with him on phone, on WhatsApp, but I've never got to meet him. But today, it's just extraordinary. He's very, anything you want to know about life, anything you want to know about just human, just like anything you want to know about life, please. YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels, you got to find him there. He's very inspiring. He's very positive. If you want anything positive about life, please subscribe to Lancescurv. And then every day you got to see different videos, different talks, different topics about life. See you.